Now, there's going to be a collection of what we call lymph nodes. All right, and then these lymph nodes are going to be identified. Yellow dot looks like a netting with yellow dots on the model, and we find these collections in different areas. Here we see a collection of them over the jugular vein in the cervical area. So this collection of yellow dots is known as the cervical lymph node. Okay. Here under the armpit in the axillary area, this collection of yellow dots actually is covering the axillary/brachial veins. So we call these the axillary lymph nodes. Okay. If we go down and look at our intestines, we can see them covering, for example, this vein that is going down to our small intestine. This is our superior mesenteric vein draining the small intestine. The lymph nodes that we find surrounding it and in branches are going to be these mesenteric lymph nodes. Okay? And then we go down here where the leg actually, or where I should say the external iliac artery enters the leg and becomes the femoral artery. Right next to it we have our large femoral vein, and we have a collection of lymph nodes here. These are the inguinal. Right? So we have inguinal, mesenteric, axillary, cervical. We also have to identify a couple of structures. Obviously, we don't have to see it's part of the lymphatic system. We can see it on our circulatory tree. We can see it in any of our models of the kidney or in the pancreas. The other structure we have to identify. See this white line that travels all the way down to the very center? Okay, this is actually the largest lymph vessel in the body. Okay. To the left of it, you can actually see the descending aorta, and this lymphatic duct is actually found behind the inferior vena cava. It has been removed. Okay, so we have the beginning of the inferior vena cava here. The rest of it has been removed. You can see the thoracic duct. There is actually one on the right and the left side, but we're not doing this. Lymphatic duct, axillary lymph nodes, cervical lymph nodes, inguinal lymph nodes, mesenteric lymph nodes. Okay? The white line, right there. That one all the way up. And I want you to notice something. This lymphatic duct, look where it goes. It drains, it goes upwards, carrying lymph, and it comes up, and look where it drains. It drains into this blue vessel right here. This is going to be, anybody want to guess what that is?
Subclavian.
Which side, right or left?
Left.
Left subclavian vein. Very good. Drains into left subclavian vein. Okay, so those are the structures for our lymphatic system. The groups of lymph nodes, the thoracic duct. Okay, now I want you to also notice on this particular model, we can see our superior mesenteric arteries and veins. Here going to the small intestine. Inferior mesenteric arteries and veins going to the large intestine. And we can see something else. This great big blue vessel, it would be coming from our inferior mesenteric vein, coming up from the small intestine. At a certain point, it joins another vein. That vein actually comes from the spleen, and then it goes into the liver. This portion that goes into the liver that you see between the green structure and the red artery, that's going to be the hepatic portal vein, okay? So we can see the hepatic portal vein right here, okay? And that's important for us to identify. We can see our celiac trunk, our hepatic artery, right next to it, hepatic portal vein.
That's the blue one, right?
The blue one. And then we have, this is a bile duct, and then here, this blue vessel over here is the splenic vein coming from the spleen. Okay, so I just want you to see, we have our celiac trunk, a beautiful view of it, hepatic artery, hepatic portal vein, superior mesenteric vein, superior mesenteric arteries, inferior mesenteric arteries and veins here, Okay, so we can see those structures here. We don't see them this well in any other model. Okay.
Which means you will ask us to wait
Yeah,
over
that's,
here.
and I think one of the images I'm giving you has them labeled. I'll make sure. I'll check it and see. Okay. All right. I also want you to notice a couple of things. I'm going to show you an overhead in a second, but look at where here's our trachea coming down. Okay, and then the trachea ends. This is our trachea, and it branches off into the right and left main bronchi that carry air to the lungs. And notice that there's a collection of lymph nodes over the bronchi, right there at the entrance to the lungs. Those are actually called the hilar lymph nodes. These particular lymph nodes, when people have, for example, chronic pulmonary disease of any type, very often they will become swollen, and in older people they can actually calcify, and you can actually see when somebody has infection of the lungs or the bronchi themselves, these actually become swollen, and you can actually see the swollen nodes on an X-ray, which I'll show you in a second. Those are the hilar lymph nodes. I don't think it's part of our list. Somebody can check and see. I don't think it is. Yeah, it's not